The old mug, the America's Cup, gifted to promote friendly competition between foreign countries. 162 years on, in San Francisco, friendly competition has turned into all-out war between New Zealand and America as they duel to claim the cup. Emirates Team New Zealand will pick up the victory. The Kiwi challenger is on the brink of victory, but the American defender refuses to give in. The Sunday showdown belongs to Oracle. For the last 5 days, Emirates Team New Zealand has been poised on match point. Just one more win, and the cup is theirs. But that has proven easier said than done.
It was always going to be a battle.
A week ago, the defenders were 6 races down and facing annihilation.
I think we're the underdog. I still think we're the underdog.
Day after day, the U.S. team has staved off elimination. Now, they're attempting a comeback of epic proportions. The Americans have the belief and the momentum.
I think with the people we've got on this team, strangely enough, they seem to perform better when they're facing the barrel of the gun.
One mistake, and it's done.
I know that we are definitely good enough to go out there and win this thing.
There is no second place. This is the 34th America's Cup. It's the first Monday of fall in San Francisco, and will today be the day that the America's Cup is wrapped up? One win needed for the Kiwis. The Americans need to get 4 more. Alongside Ken Reed, Gary Jobson, I'm Todd Harris. Welcome to a beautiful day here in San Francisco. But the question is, will there be enough win? And Ken, if there is, the Americans look ready to go.
Well, a very overused phrase in this cup is vertical learning curve. How fast the sailors and the designers are learning these new boats, which creates improvement on the water every day. Tiny changes to underwater positioning and the drag of the foils has been crucial for Oracle to gain speed that nobody thought they could find. As for Team New Zealand, the screws are getting tightened big time. It sounds so simple for those of us on the sidelines. Just win a start and the rest comes easy. The start wins are actually 8 to Oracle, 7 to Team New Zealand. No reason that Dean Barker can't come out of the blocks with a lead, and Ray Davies has consistently proven he's a tough guy to pass. Todd, one thing's for sure, we're watching America's Cup history unfold before our very eyes.
Let's meet the defenders of the America's Cup. This is Oracle Team USA.
For Oracle Team USA, Shannon Falcone and Joe Spooner remain on board as the grinders in the front cockpit. Dagger boards, offside trimming, grinding power is performed by Simeon Tiampon, Gilo Nobly, Rome Kirby, and Jono Macbeth. The foils above the water, trimmed by Kyle Langford and Joey Newton, look for the Code Zero to be possibly on board today as their longer bowsprit has been installed. And the 3-person tactical communication team seems to be progressing for these guys, as this is only their 10th race ever sailed together as a unit.
4 more wins and the greatest comeback in sailing will be complete. But if you talk with Tom Slingsby, the strategist on board Oracle, he says they know it's a tough task, but he says this group is up for it.
It is a big ask, but it was a huge ask at the start when we said, okay, we've got to win 8 races straight. And it was a huge ask then. But now that we've got speed, we've shown that we can do it, the whole team's a lot more confident. I think to win the last 4 is nowhere near the task that we had earlier in the week. And so I think we can do it, and I think we will do it.
And here's your roster for the Kiwis, Emirates Team New Zealand.
Team New Zealand remains consistent with no changes to their crew from yesterday. Adam Bichel and Jeremy Lomas remain up front on daggerboard functions. Chris McCasey, Winston McFarlane, Derek Sayward, Rob Waddell, and Chris Ward are the power source, grinding the handles, which trims the foils and runs the hydraulics. Glenn Ashby and James Dagg are trimming the foils above the water. Look for both teams to consider their Code Zero headsels in this lighter breeze. And finally, much has been made of the 2-person afterguard of Team New Zealand versus the 3-person afterguard of Oracle. A fast boat is a tactician's best friend. Win a start, and Ray Davies looks brilliant.
So as we've said for the last 5 days, the Kiwis need just 1 victory. And for skipper Dean Barker, his message to his crew, believe and improve.
We're just going to go out there with the same belief that we've had every other day. Yeah, nothing's changed for us. You know, we know we've got the boat, the equipment to do it, and you know, we know we can sail the boat well enough. It's just a case of putting it all together. And yesterday was a tough day. You know, we don't like losing 2 races on the trot. First time we've done that in this whole series. You know, Oracle's got a lot better, and we've got to make sure that we keep improving at the same rate. Otherwise, you know, it'll get harder for us.
The first race of the America's Cup goes to Emirates Team New Zealand. Team New Zealand goes up 2-0 over Oracle Team USA. Emirates Team New Zealand take race number 3 in impressive fashion.
Emirates Team New Zealand is your winner. With 4 race wins on the scoreboard versus 0 for defenders Oracle Team USA, the 34th America's Cup was turning towards Emirates Team New Zealand. Facing the crushing might of a solid Kiwi crew in a fast boat, 34-year-old skipper James Spithill consulted team boss Russell Coots, then played his one and only postponement card.
We need to go back and regroup. We feel they've got a bit of an edge on us at the moment, especially upwind. So yeah, we need to do a little bit of work here, and we're going to play the card strategically and hopefully improve in time for the next race.
Oracle Team USA then went back to base and hatched a plan. Number 1, tweak the boat to go faster upwind. Number 2, substitute tactician John Kostecki for Ben Ainsley, the best Olympic sailor of all time. Even the legendary U.S. tactician Tom Whidden, with 8 campaigns and 3 America's Cup wins under his belt, didn't see this coming.
You got to stay positive. You got to keep the team up. I don't think it's a time for changes yet. I really don't. I think their crew's good enough.
At first, the plan didn't seem to be working. Dean Barker and his crew won the following 2 races. So the Kiwis only needed 3 victories to win the Cup, while the defenders needed 10. Then the Olympians found their voice. Ben Ainsley and Tom Slingsby started to call the shots correctly. And Oracle Team USA started the comeback. Jimmy Spithill and crew will win the first race of the day. Race number 9 belongs to the Americans. USA gets the win in race 12. Have come through with a victory in race number 13. Lives to fight another race. The Sunday showdown belongs to Oracle.
We believe we can win this. We believe we've got the boat to do it, we've got the team, and we've got a wave of momentum now that is getting bigger every day behind us.
I've got a huge belief in our team, and we know we can bounce back. So, you know, we're very excited about getting back out there again and doing what we do well.
Now, Dean Barker can afford to lose 3 races. James Spithill cannot. Dean Barker has a joker he can play. James Spithill does not. Oracle Team USA has been favored with good fortune. Emirates Team New Zealand has not. But each team must write their own story. Whatever happens today, this is one to remember. So will lucky day 13 be the day? We are scheduled for races 16 and 17. New Zealand has the lead. 8 victories to the USA's 5. And remember, the Americans docked those 2 points, so it would be technically 8-7 had it not been for the penalty. Right now, though, we are sitting and waiting for the wind to build in the right direction. And as we go out on the course, for more on that, we check in with a third member of our broadcast team, Gary Jobson, out on the water.
Well, Todd, here's the good news. The wind is filling in, and we are going to get a race today. The race committee is very confident. However, it's going to be about a 30-minute wait till the wind fills in all the way around the course. I expect it to be patchy, flood current, small waves. Anyway, once again, a real premium on the tacticians. Ray Davies and Ben Ainsley, the pressure will be on them.
All right, more from Gary throughout the day. So wind not being at the maximum right now or at the optimum as we take a look at what he was talking about. And this is, again, the flood tide, the water coming into the San Francisco Bay.
Yeah, that really affects the boats, mainly upwind, Todd. You see it's probably a bit of a left-sided race course where these arrows are smaller. That's where the current is for sure going to be less on that shoreline. As you get up to the top, where it affects the starting line, you're going to see boats starting to put a premium on being up to weather or the right right-hand end of the line because the current will be pushing them down the bay towards mark number 1.
Well, the good news is, as Gary pointed out, the wind is building, but unfortunately they're going to wait 30 minutes so it fills out on the entire course. And again, the course we've had throughout the Louis Vuitton Cup and, of course, the America's Cup here.
Up and down the waterfront 1.5 times. Puts a premium on these starts. These boats have gotten so even in speed that very often the person ahead at mark number 1 can fend off the other as they go around the track.
So as we go into holding mode, Dean Barker on the left, Jimmy Spithill on the right, they are in holding mode as well. And we want to give you some action until we get to race number 16 today. So we're going to take you back to day 12 as yesterday and race number 14 with New Zealand leading 8-3 on Oracle Team USA. And at 2:10, the defenders of the Cup make their move.
Todd, you saw them slow down right at the last second. They were dangerously close. They thought they might actually be a little bit early there and actually slowed the boat down right at the last second. Doesn't look like it's really made a difference, though.
Have a good one, bruh. Miles ahead of him here.
Day 12, race 14 is on. Oracle Team USA must win out to keep this regatta going. One more loss and the cup will go to the Kiwis.
We were talking about how loose these guys are on Oracle. You heard the last comment from Slingsby as they entered. Have a good one, bro. There doesn't seem to be a lot of pressure with these guys.
Where is he on ley line? He's
5 seconds, yeah. 5 seconds.
coming up and attacking in 3.
See, there you saw a tack instead of a jibe. Already a different strategy. These guys are trying to stay up current a little bit towards the bridge.
Killing 30 to the line. The slow build there. 55. He's on our line. He's clear. On the wind here.
Oracle's dangerously close to the line here. They got a lot of time to kill. New Zealand's in a great position.
They just said they got 30 to kill to the line. That's a lot of time. Gapping off by Team New Zealand. That means they're trying to get up to the weather end. But have they pulled their hand? Have they shown their hand too early? This is going to be a time and distance start, Todd.
I like New Zealand's position there.
10 seconds to the line. The all clear is sounded. Day 12, race 14 is on.
This lighter breeze, I think it's going to allow Oracle to escape out from underneath. It's the same thing again. It's a windward leeward. Oracle is in the favored leeward position. The other boat has to stay out of the way. They're going to avoid the mark again. This is just typical strategy for match racing.
So in fact, what they're doing, folks, if I'm correct, Kenny, is the Americans are just pushing the Kiwis as far off course as they can.
They try to get them slow and then try to extend and gain as much as they possibly can here. Remember, the boundary is going to come into play fairly shortly.
Got to sit up here, guys. Good drive, guys. Going straight forward. Sit up there. Hold it. 3. Not yet. 2. I'm on the boundary, Gov. 1. Go forward.
Driving.
Simultaneous jibe, who can do it better?
And Oracle needs a leeward boat. New Zealand needs to get an overlap at the mark.
I think actually New Zealand slowed down in that jibe on purpose as to not get an overlap and make sure that they weren't committed to weather of Oracle, who was the right-of-way boat in that position. But they do have to get down to this mark, obviously. They have to leave the mark to their right side.
I got Ray.
So the lead at mark number 1 is 6 seconds to Oracle Team USA. The Kiwis just off their left-hand side, and now the tactics begin.
Pretty soft.
You see the numbers there. Oracle Team USA 3 knots faster than the Kiwis.
They could just be sailing again. The puffs that they go into, it's not like traditional sailing where the puffs come from behind the boat. The puffs they're actually sailing into are dead in front of the boat. So very often the boat ahead has the advantage just in sailing into better breeze.
So the second jibe comes here on race number 14. And again, the Americans have a lead of over 125 meters as we check in on the water with Gary Jobson.
Well, Todd, looking at the wind on the water here, it gets a lot lighter as they get closer to the gate. So staying in a good pressure, more wind is really going to be a premium. You want to jibe when you're in the stronger wind, not when it's light.
And Gary, on the course, as we look down from the helicopter shot, where is the sweet spot on this course? Is it left, right, or center?
Well, right now, I like the center of the course. There's more wind. When you get to either side, the wind gets lighter. And boy, is Oracle sailing fast. They're gaining like crazy.
Better pressure this way, actually. Really nice mode. Keep it fast, Paul. It's getting a little slow.
Give you a look at virtual eye animation and just show them what it is. And Kenny, the big 3 letters that everyone talks about in this race is VMG.
That's right, it's VMG, those yellow lines, that's how fast you're getting towards the mark. It's a combination of your forward speed dead ahead and the angle from the breeze you are. So right now, obviously pretty close, but Oracle has had a slight edge like Gary reported earlier.
VMG, or velocity made good, as the Kiwis jibe yet again.
That graphic looks like a page out of my physics book in high school.
Pressure is down, Hank. Pressure's down.
In those first couple jibes, Todd, and we have so rarely said this in this entire event, Oracle out-jibed the Kiwis in those first 2 jibes and gained a little bit on both. And we just always have seen the Kiwis have better jibes than everybody else. It shows how far along these guys have come since the beginning of this series and their maneuvering problems.
You've got pressure coming, so you're in a good mode, but just watch it if it gets lighter that we don't force the fly, okay? Okay, good mode here. This pressure's right there, but yeah, we're going to get there.
And when you listen to Ben Ainsley, the tactician for Oracle, and he says good mode there, is he just talking about he likes the wind that he's getting in this position?
No, that's the VMG number that we're talking about. A good mode means your angle from the wind compared to your boat speed forward. It's that combination, that VMG number, that's what he's calling just mode, good mode.
And again, your VMG is your velocity made good. And right now, Ben Ainsley, the 4-time Olympic champion, likes the way the defenders, Oracle Team USA, are sitting.
3, 2, 1, diving.
Really classic match racing going on here right now for Oracle, Gary. They're just staying between the man and the mark, and they're not letting them out of their sights.
I love the way Oracle Team USA has improved their driving here over the last week, and right out of the textbook. Stay between your competitor and a mark. A mistake both of these boats have made in previous races. They're not making that mistake now.
And Gary, what do you think about gate selection? What side do you think the Americans are going to go for?
Well, Ben Ainsley and Oracle Team USA has got the choice, left gate or right gate. I have to think he wants the left gate to work that cone underneath Alcatraz Island. There's less current over there, and that would be the best place to be.
No problem with the taking us down to the lane line. Yeah. Well, boy, really good, guys. They're going to have to set up there. Yeah. There they go. We've got 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Here. 25.
So the Americans going about their business as they have grown the lead to more than 274 meters, dropping just minutely right there as we transition back to the Kiwis. Remember, they just need one more victory and the America's Cup is theirs. And again, they just aren't getting the pressure. They just aren't getting the speed that we're known to seeing them have on the downward leg.
Yeah, this is nervous moments for all Kiwi fans all the way around the world. This is clearly nervous moments. Oracle's sailing away here right now, and it's always been thought in kind of this medium breeze that this was a breeze that New Zealand possibly had an advantage in. Doesn't show. That's not showing up right now on this leg, Todd.
So there's the situation right now. The Americans have a 300-meter lead. We look at Jimmy Spithill in the center of your screen right there. He is the helmsman.
Now, this is a condition where you could see a full split at this mark. There's two ways of doing this on the tidal change. With the incoming tide, it's actually sweeping out of the bay along the shoreline. You could see Oracle go for the cone, like Gary just said, and Team New Zealand actually could split all the way to the shoreline right away. We could see the biggest split we've seen in this entire event so far.
At mark number 2, it's Oracle, Team USA. Their lead 300 meters, and they will make their way for the cone behind Alcatraz Island. The Americans' lead at gate number 1 was 6 seconds. It has more than doubled here on leg number 2.
Just heard Ben Ainsley say, keep going straight here all the way to the boundary. So I guarantee you they had a playbook committed before this race started. If we're ahead, we're going for the cone.
Their lead has been quadrupled from 6 to 24 seconds. The Kiwis will head towards the shore, and the Americans will look for relief in the cone behind Alcatraz Island.
Nice take forwards, we're right on this.
So the Americans on leg number 3 of 5, nursing a 300-meter lead. How much relief will they see, Gary, off the back of Alcatraz Island with the tide?
Well, not only get some relief of about a knot and a half tide, but they actually could get a little counter current sweeping up toward the windward mark, and that'll help them gain a little bit more. New Zealand, on the other hand, has done the right move, heading for the same spot, but I don't know if they're going to have the speed to catch up.
Yeah, so they determined, Todd, that ebb current, or the current flowing out of the bay up along the city front, is not enough yet, so they decide to keep it close, and they're playing the cone, that tidal relief behind Alcatraz, just like the Americans did.
20 seconds here. Stand by, guys. Stand by. Press for you.
So there's the scene on the San Francisco Bay. Alcatraz Island off to their right. The Americans' 300-meter lead over the Kiwis. The lead is just over 270 meters for Team USA, the defenders of the Cup. The Kiwis trying to close it in, and there is Alcatraz Island. Again, for the folks that don't know about the cone, the only thing I know about Alcatraz Island is somewhere you don't want to go. But for the sailors today, this is definitely somewhere they're heading towards.
Yeah, so we talked earlier about either the relief, the tidal relief under Alcatraz, or potentially the tidal relief all the way on the San Francisco shoreline. Both of these boats determined that it's not early enough in the ebb or the change, so they both elected to go up behind Alcatraz Island and try to stay out of the current that way. Hey, for Americans right now, it's an easy choice. You just stick with your competitor and hopefully stay between them and the mark.
Yeah, we're just going to get past this line pretty much.
Man, close to the boundary right there, Todd. That was kind of almost like the boundary snuck up on them, and they did a bit of a crash tack there. That was not their best tack, but nonetheless, still a nice little lead.
Folks have found a spot all along the waterfront here in San Francisco. People have made their way out to Alcatraz, and look at our good friends out at America's Cup Park. That is some prime real estate with the Coit Tower behind them. They are watching on, as is the rest of the world. This is the 34th America's Cup.
Up when can't, Simeon. Nice and low, boys, if you're not doing anything. No, we're not done. Hit the pressure, give me a real high front. Okay. Copy. That could just wind angle could be wrong.
Every day, Jimmy Spithill comes out and says, you know, we almost relish the opportunity to be the spoilers here, because everyone expected 4 or 5 days ago for the Kiwis to pick up 1 win, Kenny, and take the cup back to Auckland. And you're starting to see what Jimmy Spithill's talking about. The boys are really rising to the occasion.
So you're believing that they really...
Starting to drink the Kool-Aid a bit.
I'm still not I don't think they love the situation they're in, but they are rising to the occasion. The start was just exactly, that's right out of the textbook. The start is exactly what they needed. Give them a jump, and their boat is fast now. It still goes back. It's amazing to me that they were so far off the pace at the beginning of this series and how quickly they've gotten up to a point where they're even or faster.
Well, it's one thing to go out there in front of the media at the end of the day and say, we believe that we can still win. We think we're going to win. We think we're faster. It's another thing to do it. And Jimmy Spithill and his crew have certainly gone out there and done it. They have backed up the words that their skipper has said at the podium, and here they are leading on leg 3 of 5, which would be a clincher for that man, Dean Barker and his crew. They just cannot track down the Americans right now, so it looks like this point we will see a second race of the day, and I won't say who mentioned that, but one Ken Reed guaranteed it. The distance has come down now to below 200 meters, and that is Ray Davies.
There is no quit in any of these guys, that's for sure. So they'll shake it off. And the race isn't over, Todd. Don't get me wrong here.
And how about this? What was a 300-meter lead now comes down to 140 meters. And Gary, why the big drop for the Americans?
Well, what's happening here, Todd, is the wind is actually getting lighter at the top of the course, and so they're going slower. More wind at the bottom. That's what New Zealand has. But boy, is that current ripping out here, and that's going to be a big factor on the final approach to Windward Mark. Ripping, what I mean, flooding coming into the bay.
Boy, that was a big change there, wasn't it? I think it just got light for the guys ahead along that shore, and they really came back into them in a big way, the Kiwis did.
And Kenny, as I look up the course on the left side of the screen there, right in under the Presidio along the city front, there's a little bit of a left shift. In other words, the wind is better over on the shore and the current's less. New Zealand can take advantage of it.
Yeah, I agree. There's some real nice gains at the end here. Courage, bring the attacks up here. Got good pressure right at the end. Here we go. Come on. Okay, boys, here we go. Turning.
Good move by Oracle to cover. Right thing to do.
Still not a lot of panic in these guys, but the lead is shrinking here. A lot of it has to do with the boat ahead also, Todd. They leave the cone behind Alcatraz, and they have to sail out onto the conveyor belt. It's going the wrong way. So the boat ahead inherently loses a bit of a lead, but this has gotten a lot tighter than those guys on Oracle ever thought it would. I can guarantee you that. This next cross is not very far. Wow, what a comeback by Emirates Team New Zealand.
And here come the Kiwis. They were down by more than 300 meters, and here they are right behind the Americans.
Here we go again. Hold on, folks. Welcome to the Modern America's Cup.
Now keep in mind that now New Zealand's going back out into the middle where Oracle lost, and Oracle's going to have a left. So a chance for the Americans to make up ground.
But they don't have starboard tack advantage. If they do come back close, Team New Zealand will have starboard tack advantage.
Come on, there we go.
If I'm New Zealand, I want to tack really early and not wait a long time. The reason they don't want to go out into the flood.
Standing by.
Wow, what a slow tack by New Zealand.
Gary, we could really see in these helicopter shots a very distinct current line out there, right smack between the two boats right now.
Right, the current's worse on the right, Ken, than the left as we look at it from the air.
Correct. There's a nice little game back by the guy to the left. You wonder if they're going to tack before this current line, Todd.
That'd be 2 tacks in quick succession. Very tough to do that. They can lose more. Look for Oracle to tack in 2 to 3 boat lengths.
High groove's good. Yeah, agree with that. A little high mode in general, Colin.
Tide and wind pressure, and right now both boats are basically walking on an escalator the wrong way, and they are trying to get as much pressure as possible. As Gary has pointed out and Ken Reed, it looks like the left side of the course has more favorable winds, and so that is why both boats are hugging the shore front.
It's such a fine line with these boats because they do maneuver, even though we keep saying how much better they've gotten at tacking. Catamarans are notoriously really bad tacking boats. So you try to minimize as many maneuvers as you can while staying on the proper side of the conveyor belt here. Tough for both boats at this stage.
Very different shaped jibs here right now, Kenny. You look at the New Zealand boat, it's a very high aspect sail. In contrast, Oracle's got a very low aspect sail. You think, I'm just wondering, because you're the sailmaker, having that higher jib, is it helpful to the New Zealanders?
Well, it does look to be just a little bit bigger sail. You know, a lot of times these sails, they help the wing itself just create flow over the backside of the wing. You wonder if the small bit of overlap that Oracle has makes up for the fact that it's smaller jib in general. Surprised these guys didn't go back and left earlier, Gary, but it seems like they're in kind of a high slow mode to get up in front of New Zealand.
Yeah, I like the course that USA sailing. High, slow, just close it up, take away any passing lane. Good move by Oracle.
He's gone soft. At this stage, it'll be a little dip if he tacks, okay? Probably a little bit like that. And then we'll set up just past him. So if he tacks, it's a definite dip.
That's a hand-bearing compass Ray Davies is using there to take bearings on the other boat.
Ray's talking about a dip, Todd, between the two boats. If Oracle tacked, they would actually have to dip them. Oracle would be on starboard, Team New Zealand on port. But what I like about Team New Zealand here right now, they're inside the current line as they're going up here. This whole way up, big left-hand shift. They're almost heading towards the mark, but they're still inside the current line.
So we just keep it in a holding pattern.
Let's go on board Oracle Team USA and listen in.
We get to ley line him in. I think we've got to speed up a bit. Sorry, I think we've got to speed up a bit. They're really coming at us. Yeah. You call it.
Again, Todd, they're talking about the modes between the boats. They're really coming at us. That means the other boat's lower and faster. These guys are high and slow, just trying to get up in front of them.
Yeah, nice mode here. Nice mode.
New wind filling into windward. That'll help Oracle Team USA get the wind first.
Right behind him at this.
Right now, I think they're just going for the least possible maneuvers they can do. Oracle will probably just do one tacking in, and New Zealand will follow them through. Like Ray Davies just said, will be really close.
The other day, you know. Looks like it's real soft for him if he goes all the way. I agree.
Both boats VMGs. Oracle's a little higher, a little closer to the wind, slightly slower. So again, that higher, slower mode, they're trying to tactically get up in front of Emirates Team New Zealand.
Up ahead, I see the wind turning to the right. That'll help Oracle. They're going to attack with a favorable wind shift.
One, here we go, attacking.
That's good inside, that's good. Fully on the wind here. He is not laying left.
Keeping it going here.
That was the voice of Ray Davies. He is not laying left. Very interesting call here by these guys on Oracle. They're going to do two tacks into the gate and take the downwind mark that brings them offshore first. Team New Zealand will likely just do one tack coming up here, and they'll head towards the shore. I'm guessing a split again.
Ley line you, don't go too thin.
Well, the mark has certainly paid in the last few races, but with that wind coming off the shore, it might be a little bit better. New Zealand's got a chance.
Get it going on the foil here. It should be
Will the strategy pay off for Oracle Team USA? They throw in one extra tack, and now they are inside the gate, gate number 3. 2 more legs to go, and the Americans will have a victory, but the Kiwis are coming fast.
Wing on, wing on, wing on. Go wing, go wing. Set up to jibe. Stand by. Go wing, boys. Anytime here. Okay, go bottom. Go board, Surin.
Todd, I'm nervous, and I'm not even on the boat. I mean, the Kiwis, this is just the Kiwi mentality. They just don't ever quit.
New Zealand has chopped 9 seconds off what was a 24-second lead at gate number 2. It now stands at 15 seconds. And did they make the right call? Everyone here is watching, cheering on the Kiwis, cheering on the Americans.
New Zealand needs a jibe soon. They got to get this in the center and get some maneuvers going if they want to pass.
Gutsy call by Oracle at that top mark to throw in that extra tack. Not only they gave up starboard tack there as well, but they were really committed to wanting to go offshore first, and it looks like it's paid off. It's gone from a small lead to a reasonably big lead in a short period of time because of that second tack. Great call by Ainsley.
So the lead is back up to 300 meters for the Americans. They rolled the dice and it came up Yahtzee. Will it pay off with 2 more legs?
We've only got 50 the other way, you know. This pressure's starting to grip. There's another one.
And this has got to be disheartening for the Kiwis, because this is what the Americans look like getting on leg number 2, going downwind. They just sped away.
That extra tack, I can't underestimate how much that was a big call by those guys, by the guys on Oracle, to do the extra tack at the top mark. Just gave them, it launched them. It went from a small lead to a launch by actually doing an extra maneuver. Kind of rare in the catamaran sailing that we've seen for a while now.
3, 2, 1, diving. Good left hand.
San Francisco Bay is the setting for the 34th America's Cup. Oracle Team USA, the defenders, need to win out 6 more races, and the Cup will stay in the States. If they have one misstep and give one victory to the Kiwis, the Cup is heading down under.
Boy, Oracle just had a really slow tack, and all of a sudden we're calling this race over, and it's launched to, they close right up to 100 meters again. Really slow tack. Gary, it must be very puffy down on the water.
Very puffy and very light along the shoreline. Still, I like what Oracle's doing, just jibing between them. This is where New Zealand's got to jibe right now to get to the left. They gained on the left. They got to get back over there.
Oh, I don't know about this. That's a lot of maneuvering out there right now. They're struggling to get up on their foils. That's how slow, that's how light of air it is. They are right back next to them again. That was, I'm not so sure about that last maneuver, Todd, by Oracle Team USA.
Well, jibing to stay in front was good, Ken, but they did it early. They needed to go 4 lengths and stay between them and the mark, not straight ahead of them.
Really light air out there right now.
And just a matter of minutes, Ken, we were talking about 300 meters. It has now dropped down to below 100, and once again, the Americans have found their pace.
It's one
but
of the...
New Zealand is in very light, sorry guys, New Zealand's in very light wind now. They too got to maneuver and get back to the right.
Big wing. 20. Yeah, that's right.
I can only imagine what the pulse rate of your average New Zealand resident is doing over the last 5 minutes. From 300 to 30, back to 300.
It's really puffy, and it's who gets up on their foils right now. It's so light. I think if they were sailing normally and they were set up for it, they might even have code zeros up right now. It's so light because they're struggling to get up on their foils, and whoever does makes huge gains into the other guy.
This is leg 4 of 5. This is race number 14 on day 12. The Kiwis looking for just one lone victory to take the cup.
He's coming back again.
And we lead this encore presentation of race number 14, which would eventually go to the Americans, and they would go 8-4, eventually winning by 23 seconds to give you a live shot of the course here. And that's the good news. We are race ready, under 5 minutes to go here for race number 16. Just to let you know, as it stands right now, New Zealand sits on 8 wins. They need 1. The Americans sit on 5 wins. They need 4. But it looks like Mother Nature has cooperated as the wind has come up, now sitting right around 11 knots. So a light breeze day today, Ken. Who does it favor?
Interesting to see these two boats are out there right now. One of them is set up. Team New Zealand is set up with their code 0 actually all the way in the air. Oracle Team USA does not have it in the air right now. So these guys are expecting possibly different solutions to how they're going to tackle this first downwind leg.
Emirates Team New Zealand, and now we shift over to Oracle Team USA. So strategy already playing out with the wind holding at around 11 knots, peaking at 13.1 knots. And Gary Jobson, you're down on the water. Who made the right call?
Well, I like New Zealand's call right now. This wind is up and down, and going downwind at the lower end of the course, it's a little bit lighter. So while they might not roll out that extra sail early, later on it might really pay off. But the good news, we're going to get a race start here very soon.
It's going to be attack because we're going to have to keep our bow down across.
So Todd, these guys come in from what we believe to be the favored port side. They get 10-second jump into the starting box. But in this light air, it's almost negated. It'll be interesting to see if New Zealand can get across the starboard tack right away boat, even with that 10-second advantage.
One other thing to note there, Kenny, there's more wind along the shore where New Zealand is. Lighter wind out by Oracle Team USA out in the middle of the bay. So that should help New Zealand out when they come together.
Day 13 of the 34th America's Cup. Will today be the day the Kiwis take the cup, or can the Americans extend it another day? So we are off and racing on day 13. The Kiwis with the port entry. Can they make it work?
It's a pretty short line, Dino.
See, these guys are on the, remember, the rule of thought here is if you can get on your foils, you don't need a bigger sail when you're going downwind. You saw as soon as they came into the entry box, they got up on their foils, but here they're getting a little lighter and slower. This is a real toss-up as to whether that big sail up front, the code 0, is going to be just drag and up for no reason, or actually be useful on leg number 2.
We have a 1.5 knot flood here, guys, and that should favor the windward end going over to the first mark.
Yeah, we're late. We're 6 over. That's the light line, Tommy. Benny? Yeah, we're 6 over.
30 to kill for the line.
30 to kill racing out of
Let's get the boat going here, guys.
25 to kill for the line.
This could be very interesting, Todd.
Less than a minute to go before the start.
Slow motion start at this stage. You know, this light air is really difficult to maneuver these double hull boats.
Too late, on the wing.
Only killing 10. Speed here. Speed killing 10. Pressing a little cold.
Full speed.
This could be good. Only killing 8.
Has Emirates Team New Zealand got too low in the starting box. They're talking about full upwind. Can Oracle accelerate over the top? That's the big question.
So here we go. Race number 16 is on in San Francisco.
Oracle, first boat up on their foils. Is that going to be enough to accelerate them over the top of Team New Zealand and give them wing wash, give them disturbed air? Sure looks like they're going to be able to pull it off, Todd.
So the Kiwis got lower, looked to be in the prime position, and just like that, Jimmy Spithill and company accelerated the line, and they are the first ones to mark number 1.
Serious acceleration, and you wonder how much having the drag of that code 0 up in the air affected these guys on leg number 1.
The lead is just 5 seconds as they make their way to leg number 2, heading downwind towards the city.
That was a serious difference in acceleration. That drag of that big sail up there. And these boats that are so optimized for aerodynamics, you have to imagine that meant a lot.
Interesting that Oracle jives right away, getting back out into the middle.
So a little bit of difference there. Normally, the Kiwis, when they trailed around that first mark, were the first ones to jive. This time, you heard Jimmy Spithill talking to Ben Ainsley saying, happy to go.
A lot of times, Todd, they're jiving to stay in line so they don't get in the wing wash of the boat ahead. But right now, Oracle's just popping up on their foils in this lighter breeze a little bit easier than the Kiwis are.
Right, Smiley. Yeah. Happy to deploy, Dino, for me. Okay. Is everyone's hanging? Deploying in 3.
They're talking about a deploy of the code 0 right now, Todd.
Well, there it goes. The code 0, according to the New Zealand coach, tells me at 10 knots. Underneath that, it's better, and they're right at 10 knots, so they're on the line. Code 0 versus no code 0. We'll see which works out best. Pretty interesting.
Very interesting. Exactly. Fantastic.
The only problem with code 0, even if you have more speed, it's a lot harder to maneuver with.
So the Kiwis, in effect, flying an extra sail. And it does not seem to be making a big difference right now as the Americans have a 175-meter lead.
For sailors out there in the world watching this, you'd just think, well, of course they're going to go faster, but this is a whole different game. The aerodynamic packages on these boats are completely different. You see Oracle's actually put theirs in the air, but since they're up on the foils without it, they actually do not unfurl it.
Deploy anytime. Big E's on wing. Go deploy. Boards forward. Stay with us, Tom. Yep, with you. Go deploy. Good pressure here. Should be able to deploy.
Wing priority, boys. Wing priority.
Oracle rolls out their Jennifer now.
Everybody in the world thinks it's lighter breeze, so it must be easier physically on these boats. It's anything but.
Try and get on the foil.
Sailing almost at equal speeds right now, holding right around 25 knots.
Go backwards. Go wing. Hold. Be a bit faster. Okay. Get pressure coming to you in 10. Hey, Ryan, line here with him. Spend a bit of time and have a look at the sheets. Boys. And go wing. Get set up the lure and get that flat out. Definite left gate here.
Not much in this though, Todd. 212. It was like 180, I think, when they first deployed. So the big difference in sail areas really didn't mean a whole lot in the overall scheme of things.
If the wind gets a little bit lighter, the Jennekers are going to be better. If it comes up, they're not going to be as good. They're right on that line now.
Man with the 14 on his helmet, Dean Barker, skipper and helmsman.
to lay like that. Yeah. You always got to follow them onto left, you know.
Oracle has had an edge in the last, I believe, 4 starts in a row. And their reaching speed seems really good on that first leg. It's certainly something that they think if they just get an even start, they just appear to be a little bit quicker all the time on leg number 1, giving them the jump that they need.
We can get to ley line if we go. There is reasonable breeze the other way.
Yeah, I reckon it's good pressure.
Okay.
You're 30.
Okay, happy.
20. 10.
In 30 seconds, guys.
25.
Hey, they're setting up there and turning. Extra man, Jimmy. 25. Keep the heel up here, Jimmy. Hold them, pass it off.
You know, a lot of times
20 seconds.
you'll be thinking when you're the boat behind, just keep it close and we can attack them on the upwind leg. Interesting that they jibe away here. This is potentially a big loser or a big gainer. It's a bit of rolling the dice early on in the game.
Well, I think they're going to set themselves up, New Zealand that is, to get to the right gate, where USA is probably going to do the left gate.
Pressure here. Okay, yep. Yep. Okay, here we go. Okay, go button. Go board, Simran. Go, boys. Big sheet. Dig it in.
Man, there's a lot going on in these jibes. A lot going on. A long way to go. Their sheet is way out. This is actually not a great jibe on Oracle.
And the lead is now down below 100 meters.
How far to ley line?
But with a jibe to go. That's the thing. I kind of really liked New Zealand sticking with them and trying to jibe better and really closing it up. But they chose not to. They chose to split. They still have one more jibe to go.
10 seconds, no fat.
It's a big call. If they can stay up on their foils here, Todd, then this could really play out just fine for them. A little bit more breeze, this could make this an absolutely workable solution for Team New Zealand. Like he said, like Gary said, it will be a split here.
Get out of the jib.
At mark number 2, the Americans have a lead, but it has shrunk down below 100 meters. The Americans opt for the left gate, and it looks like the Kiwis will go to the right.
3, 2, 1, here we go.
What a shock. We have a really close sailboat race.
20 seconds, they raise
The Americans more than doubling their lead. It was 5 seconds at mark number 1. It's up to 13 now. Gary Jobson, who has the best position on course now?
Well, I like Oracle Team USA's position. They're going to get under this cone from Alcatraz Island, where there's a lot less current. Remember, we have about a knot and a half flood coming in here, and being out in the middle where New Zealand is going to be tough.
Seems like the breeze might be a little further to the right, though, Gary, than normal. They're coming up in this boundary very quickly under Alcatraz Island. Say that they get lifted up onto on port tack here, and looks like the boundary's actually a little bit further away. You can't quite see the tide line that we normally see here, so it could be a little more even from side to side. Really hard to call from our vantage point right now.
So the first tack of leg number 3, and the Americans have a lead, but can they make it stick as they head upwind?
Going to our line in here. Go, Trent. No problem with it. Giving you a little twist. Target. It's around 19s. Yeah, copy. Numbers coming.
You know, Ken, the dynamic on board Oracle Team USA, it's almost like they have 2 strategists and 2 tacticians, with Slingsby, Ainsley, and of course, Jimmy Spithill working together.
Listening for Spithill. Spithill typically looks at the wind a lot more than Ainsley. Ainsley is more of a traditional tactician, but the combination of the two has obviously been deadly for Oracle since the switch.
Yeah, beautiful. 4, 3, 2, 1, here we go.
So the Americans have the lead as they head up towards gate number 3 here in race number 16.
Yeah. Come on.
Once again, the lead comes down to below 100 meters, and the Kiwis are getting a little relief from that cone behind Alcatraz Island, Gary.
Looking good where New Zealand is. I mean, the further in you go under Alcatraz, the better it is. But now we have Oracle getting in closer. They'll gain again.
Yeah. Have a good look at it. Stand by. Okay, 12 seconds. Push it all the way here, Jimmy. 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
And we just haven't seen any of these unforced errors that we've seen in the past, the boundary violations, things like that. These guys are playing it really smooth. Again, this is going to be about maneuvering, attacking contest in catamarans. You know, it's fantastic to see on behalf of both boats.
With Alcatraz Island in the foreground, Oracle Team USA has a lead of 125 meters, and it is growing just a little bit.
Go, Trim. No, other way, all the way, sorry, all the way to the downwind camp. To the shore here, guys.
And those arrows indicating the flood tide, the current coming in from the Golden Gate Bridge, and you saw very little tide where Emirates Team New Zealand, and there is their game.
That's right, and they're gonna, and Oracle is in the position, they will split all the way across to the city front. We've seen this strategy so many times in the past over the last month and a half. Team New Zealand will tack up on their hip, and we start a drag race all the way across to the city.
Take a look at the VMG, or the velocity made good.
VMG is really the number we're looking for. That's the speed towards the mark. That's the combination of their forward speed and the angle to the wind. Really not a whole lot in it right now. That must mean that Emirates Team New Zealand is already back out in the current, the same current that Oracle's in. Let's see if Oracle goes into that higher mode to get themselves up in front of New Zealand that we've seen in the past, or if they go boat speed across the current to the other side.
All right, Ken, so break this down. The velocity made good. The yellow arrow indicates your speed towards the next gate, and then you factor in the angle that they're sailing, and that's really their VMG.
VMG is that yellow, yeah, like you said, that yellow arrow. Little higher VMG always on Oracle right now. That's really the number we're looking for. Kind of surprising because you would think they're in a little more current out there.
Wind has picked up just a little bit since the start of the race, 12.8 knots, and the Americans now getting a little relief. And Kenny, you see that line down there. Explain to the folks at home what that is.
There you go. So that is the reason why the VMGs are a little different. They've actually gone already across the most amount of current, and now they're getting relief right along that city front. So now we start this same process again that we saw underneath Alcatraz, but this time up the left shoreline, short tacking up the left beach.
Cross, but yeah, I can see right down now. 3, 2, 1, here we go. Are we going, guys?
I like this call by Ainsley to tack a little bit earlier. They could have gone in closer to shore, but the wind is very light underneath the shore there by Pier 39. So they're splitting the difference between being in favorable current, or the best current you could get, and staying in some wind.
Boy, not much in this though, boys. It's really, this lead has stayed almost identical since we went around the mark. Little give and take here and there, but for the most part, we got two really equal boats.
So, Kenny, is the jury still out on the Code Zero experiment for the Kiwis? Did they make the right call?
Oh, I don't think so. I think they did what they thought was right, and they did an extra jibe down there at that bottom end and still came out within about the same amount of distance that they rounded the top mark. You know, so I think it ended up probably being about a net even, maybe a slight gain to Emirates Team New Zealand.
Interesting to say if Oracle tacks soon, they're coming right across that current shear, the line that we see occasionally from the air. If they go into it, maybe New Zealand has a chance to catch up playing the left.
Well, this one's far from over. Yesterday we saw the Americans take a lead of almost 500 meters. only to see it drop down to 80 on the second to last leg, and we are only on leg 3 of 5.
This is going to be a closer cross here right now with the Americans coming back on starboard. This is going to tighten up to about 120 or so meters by the time these guys come together. Chip away. That's all you're doing right now if you're New Zealand. Chip away. No reason to panic yet. Keep doing the right thing, which is bouncing up and down the left-hand shoreline.
2 days ago in this position, we saw New Zealand try and sail low course and use boat speed. If Oracle tacks, New Zealand needs to tack immediately to get back in shore.
Okay, got 35 this way, happy to go all the way.
Trim, slow it up here, guys. Take a bit of twist.
My mode's good from here in. Nice righty too. 25 seconds.
Well, you've got constant communication on board Oracle with Jimmy Spithill, Ben Ainsley, Tom Slingsby, factor in a little Kyle Langford there.
And they're talking nice righty, which means a right-hand wind shift. Remember, the breeze does not just stay consistent no matter where you are in the world. Out in the middle of the ocean or right by a city front like this, a lot of times you can even get little puffs, tweaks coming up and down the streets. It happens in Boston, for example, all the time. The breeze literally just rumbles right down the streets coming off the city front. So everything affects the wind direction.
With the same numbers here.
Yeah, copy. Put on the breeze now.
Kenny, as we look at the wind along the shore, it's a little stronger along the city front than out here in the middle.
Happy keeping it on the high side.
Still just not much in it. Whoever gets to that left side gains a little bit. Whoever comes in from the right loses a little bit. Now we'll probably trade off yet again. Kiwis, though, have done a great job of staying out of sequence with the Americans, not allowing them to dust them with wing wash directly upwind. Maybe you get a little smattering like this, but for the most part, it's not a big deal.
It's 255, quite good lefty here.
So the Americans holding on to a lead of 120 meters as they get ready to hit mark number 3.
Probably going to tack under this.
Standing by. 3, 2, 1. Tacker. Let's set up the track. Let's go down at this. Copy that.
When you come off the beach like this, Todd, off this left-hand shoreline, you want to stay in what they keep calling a high mode out of this. You don't want to get yourself quickly out into the middle of the current. So on port tack, they're probably sailing a higher, slower VMG. On starboard tack, they'd be a little lower, a little quicker to get back into the shorefront as fast as they can.
Yep. They're happy to go all the way here. They didn't gain at all. Press is good. All the way in here.
Looking at the easy 20. Nice there, guys.
30 seconds.
Now wing on. Hands out of this
All the way, 20 seconds.
Flying in this one, Tommy. Out of the tack.
Good time to go here, Jimmy.
Stand by, guys.
You are looking at the lead, the Americans on the left, the Kiwis bottom right, the defenders of the Cup, Oracle Team USA, now going into another tack.
Todd, we're watching these guys come back from what the whole sailing world thought was an absolute insurmountable hole. Not a chance can they do, and they just keep chipping away. Oracle, this is an exceptional comeback in the overall scheme of things. Your Team New Zealand, my goodness, the doubts have to be creeping in, don't they?
Well, you think about it, coming into this race, it was 8 wins to 5, and actually 8 wins to 7, but the Americans were docked 2 points prior to the America's Cup because of infractions found during the America's Cup World Series. So 2 points taken away. So the Americans actually have 7 wins. If they get this one, Kenny, we would be even 8 wins apiece, and both of them looking for the one knockout shot. As it stands, it's 8-5, and the win here for the Americans would take them to 8-6.
Not over yet, though, this race. You just see that this line, 2 very different design philosophies, and this game loss line has not hardly moved. Really amazing how close in speed these 2 boats are and how close in maneuvering ability that they've come.
Well, Gary, as they get set to hit gate number 3, they are absolutely hugging the left side of that course as they head towards the Golden Gate Bridge.
I think New Zealand's got to think about the next downwind leg, not lose any more distance here, and then work that right gate to get out into the current. If they use the left gate, New Zealand's going to be in deep trouble.
Yeah.
So much as the left side of the gate going upwind has been a bit of a conveyor belt with less current going down, you'll want to be on the left side heading the opposite direction, more current or flood coming in.
Yeah, it's really a matter of how much apparent wind you can build. Sometimes the negative current downwind actually is a boost. It actually increases the wind speed, and you can make up for the fact that the current is against you. I'm not sure if we're at that crossover yet. You see that incredible current line. Welcome to San Francisco Bay, that current line right there.
Yeah, both boats will have to do at least one tack to get to him, Mark. So that puts New Zealand in a very tough position.
He's got no choice but to go right. I like the pressure out there. Stand by. Stand by, guys. Bit of a soft patch here, though. Yeah, just another 20 seconds. What are you doing, mate? Normal tack time. Haven't got enough speed. Got this. Tough here. Confused, man. Brilliant. Go in. Okay. Yeah, hold it. There we go.
Again, instead of going to ley line here, they're going to do 2 more attacks so they can get that right-hand gate at the top of the mark. Still, this is not even close to being over. The Kiwis do not ever go away.
Right, Gate. Go to ley line here. On and right, boys.
There is a 40-minute time limit. There's 19 minutes to go, so no problem in making the time limit today.
Well, Gary, I guess the big question as the Americans get close to gate number 3, is there a possibility of us getting a second race in today, despite the fact that we were delayed by almost 30 minutes?
Well, for sure, there's time to get a second race in. The question is, New Zealand want to have a second race. They have a card to play where they could take a time not do the second race today. We'll see if they want to have a second race.
Stay with us. We're on the foil here at this angle. Right. Early drive. Early drive, Della. Second.
And because of the extra tack, the Kiwis have closed the gap to the Americans. But it will be the Americans first at gate number 3, but they have the favorable side, and we'll see what the Kiwis decide to do.
Go wing. Go wing, go wing. Get it up there. Go wing, boys. I need the wing.
They pop right up on the foils in 14 knots of breeze, which means the code 0, at least at the top of the course like this, likely does not come into play. Neither of them even have it up at this stage.
Meanwhile, on board Emirates Team New Zealand, the challenger, all quiet.
Yeah, great. Backwards, go, backwards. Go this way. Still quickly.
The second to last leg here on race number 16. Can the Americans hold on and force another race?
Good pressure.
Again, like we saw yesterday, the Americans with that extra tack, and now look at the lead. Now, what we did see yesterday as well was the Americans hit some pockets of really light air, and that allowed the Kiwis to pull back in it. Do you see that scenario playing out again?
Oh, it absolutely could play out again. It's really, this is it, like Gary said at the beginning of this race, this is a tactician's show here right now. They just have to work on avoiding those little light spots. Don't allow yourself sometimes to get into a match race when so much depends on the breeze.
So we'll just drive in front of him, okay? They are driving now. Happy to go straight for a bit. You happy matching him on the hoist? Yeah. Yeah, happy to match on the hoist. Okay. No problem.
Talking about a match on the hoist, which means if they go with a code 0 on Emirates Team New Zealand, you'll see Oracle go up with their code 0 right away.
Okay, 10 seconds. And go wing. Okay, go button, Tommy. Go board, Simeon. Nice.
And following a jibe from the Kiwis, the Americans decide now is the time to make it happen. They are on leg 4 of 5. This is race 16 with the Kiwis leading 8 wins to 5. If New Zealand wins this race, they win the America's Cup. If the Americans win, The racing continues.
The racing continues. The racing that will never end. That sailors around the world just don't want it to end at this stage. It's such drama. It's amazing. But I'll tell you what, Oracle is one bad jibe away from losing this lead. The Kiwis, again, I keep saying it, this is the same lead we saw entire way up on that beat.
3, 2, 1, diving.
This is a big call right now. This is a big split.
The other thing is, Oracle was heading for a light patch of water up by Alcatraz Island, and New Zealand basically dragged them away from the late end. So it is a huge risk what New Zealand just did.
Oracle goes with him right away, though, Gary. You can see in those turns and the trails that the boats are leaving, you could see that actually Oracle had a little better jibe in that, stretched out a tiny bit. It's these tiny little things right now that are going to make all the difference in the world.
Pressure's best right here. Fuck all the other way.
A week ago, it looked like, and it was in fact, the Kiwis on match point. Just put the Americans out of their misery and end this thing, because at that point it wasn't going so well. Then the Americans made some small tweaks to the boat. They made a crew change, and since then, it has been all Oracle Team USA. But since they've dug such a big hole and been hit with a 2-point penalty, the last 4 days, the winning streak really hasn't made that much of a difference other than digging them out of the hole, and now it's really race on at 8-5.
Okay, here we go. Here we go, Jimmy. Okay, go button. Go board.
Nice move by Oracle. Just stay between the competition and the mark. Right out of the textbook.
You know, Gary, I think that Oracle just simply stays up on their foils a little easier in this light air. Everybody had written them off for changing their boats so much to be competitive in the breeze. They just don't seem to pop off their foils quite as easy as New Zealand does. I think it's the first time we've ever said that sentence.
Very impressive, Kenny, what Oracle's been able to do with their changes. And they're small changes, but those small changes are making a big difference.
Well, normally we could start a race as late as 2:39, 2:40 Pacific time is the local cutoff. And right now, Gary, that's less than a half an hour away. That means they would have to take away, if the Americans go on to win, their normal 30 to 35-minute halftime break. Are they willing to do that?
No. No, they'll keep to the same thing. They won't shrink it down. They'd have to get agreement by both teams. And if I'm New Zealand, I want to get back to the dock and reset.
20 seconds.
Which would take us to day 14, and race 17 and 18 would be on for tomorrow. And Gary, any idea what the weather forecast is for Tuesday here in San Francisco?
Yeah, Todd, the weather's going to be good tomorrow. Stronger winds. We'll go back to our normal pattern. Good wind for the first race, and right at the edge for the second race.
Tell you what, that Al Roker character, he better be quaking in his boots.
Oh, I love Al Roker. I'm a fan.
You're on it, Jabo. Here we go. The lead now approaching 240 meters. So the Americans staying true to match racing formats, just staying on top of the Kiwis. And Ken, at this stage, the Kiwis are basically throwing everything they can at them and hoping for a mistake.
Yep. Still a couple more jibes to go, though. That's really the only fear if you're an American fan, and the saving grace if you're a Kiwi fan. There's still a couple more jibes to go, and let's just see who stays on their foils and who doesn't. But it looks like the breeze is up enough that they're probably both going to be just fine.
At last check, breeze checking in at 14.2 knots. So the Americans having a great day up on the foils, and look at the speeds. Americans traveling at about 30 knots, the Kiwis close behind.
The big question I have here for the New Zealand team, what are they going to do to get a good start? They've lost 4 in a row. That's the difference in every race. They got to win a start if they want to get this cup.
Stand by. Go wing on, please. Wing, big wing, big wing. 10 seconds. Yep. Stand by. Yep. Go bottom, go board, Simeon. Just riding us out a little, Tom.
Yeah, we're on.
Okay, it's you.
The communication between Ben Ainsley, Tom Slingsby, and Jimmy Spithill is fascinating.
Exuding confidence, really, in each other. There is never a second guess or a doubt. And those of us who have been in all kinds of after guards our whole life, it's hard to do.
At mark number 4, it's Oracle Team USA first to the gate and carrying a lot of speed as they head towards the finish line here in race 16.
3, 2, 1, driving.
The Kiwis have kept this close, but it just doesn't appear to be enough.
Go here, hydro.
21 seconds behind is the delta for the Kiwis. Gary, what do you know about the second race today?
It's not going to be able to happen. Unfortunately, there's not enough time to get a start in between the 2:40 cutoff with the 32-minute in-between race. So we will not have a second race today.
So instead of the doubleheader scheduled for today on San Francisco, it looks like one and done. And for the Americans, they'll just be happy with that, getting the victory and extending this regatta into day 14. And the lead now is down to 8-6. And 2 races to go tomorrow, Kenny. We could be even on this thing with a showdown on Wednesday.
You just have to wonder what in the Kiwis coaching room, what do they do? What do they like Gary said, they got to get off the starting line.
Well, folks in America and down under, clear your schedule. We will be racing on Tuesday. Oracle Team USA gets the win.
You have got to be kidding me. I mean, this is a comeback that not a single person in the world, never mind diehard fans in the United States, could even have predicted.
Nice score, eh, on the Jenica hoist and shit.
Yeah, we ain't a lot quicker on the race, guys.
And the final delta, yet again, for Emirates Team New Zealand is in excess of 30 seconds. They stopped the clock at 33 seconds. And a big bit of spray, and I do not think there'll be too many waves on board Emirates Team New Zealand, despite all the fans here from New Zealand who've made their way to San Francisco. Well, a sense of relief as the Americans live to fight another day, at least another race. Quick scoreboard math, 8-6. The Americans now trail by 2 with 2 races scheduled tomorrow. We could be even, but let's not forget, Emirates Team New Zealand is 1 win away from taking the America's Cup away from Oracle Team USA. And Ken, I hate to keep going back to this, but if the jury has not penalized the Americans to 2, we'd have ourselves a real classic here, even at 8.
It's just, I am dumbfounded by the fact that these guys have actually believed their own hype and come back this far from that big a hole. They dug themselves an incredible hole. I guess we got to give Jimmy Spithill credit. Everybody's been kind of hard on him about how confident, is that the right word, he's been in these press conferences?
Well, I think it was that and the broken record. If we believe we'll get it, we feel good about ourselves, we feel good about this position.
And we all sat there saying,
come on, no one feels good about being down 8-1.
Exactly.
No one does, except
exactly
Jimmy Spithill.
Give him credit, folks. Everybody has to give him credit. Kiwi fans have to give these guys credit. This has been quite a turnaround. Just like American fans had to give the Kiwis credit for coming out of the blocks so fast at the beginning of this event.
So at the end of race number 16, we go on board the defenders of the Cup, Oracle Team USA, and their helmsman, Jimmy Spithill. Jimmy, I got to tell you, 4 or 5 days ago, we thought you might have had too much Mum Napa moment, and you were telling us you were happy to be in this position, but you've made believers of us as you have cut the lead now down to 2. What is the big secret?
We've really got a huge wave of momentum now. I mean, the guys have been working very, very hard. Again, last night, the short team there till the early hours of the morning, and the boat's just going fantastic.
Jimmy, talk us through the starts. You seem to have his number. I mean, this is a whole bunch of starts in a row. How are you doing this?
Yeah, that was a really tough one. We had the starboard entry and very tough time trying to get below the boat lay, but boys did a very, very good job. And Philippe and I and the boys have been working quite hard at night just trying to figure out a couple of plays, and you know, that was Philippe's one there. It worked nicely.
Hey, Jim, are you guys going to race the second race? The time limit is running down. If you're asked by the race committee, do you want to race the second race today?
You know the answer, Gary. We want to race, mate. We're here to race, so that's what it's all about, and we can't wait. We want to get into it.
All right, Jimmy, we will let you hopefully get ready for the second race. Enjoy this victory as your boss looks on, and hopefully we'll see you out in the water in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Larry Ellison pulling alongside his crew of Oracle Team USA, the defenders of the Cup. And for Emirates Team New Zealand, you know, psychologically, what would be better for Dean Barker and his crew? To go back to the dock and just say, hey, fellas, let's try again? Or let's just go out there and know that if they get one win, it's done?
I don't think these guys have a speed disadvantage. They just were glued at that kind of 150-meter mark. They were glued to Oracle all the way around the track. I think you want to go sailing again. The thought of just doing the whole dock out program, the getting in, the leaving your families in the morning, this has to be wearing these guys out. And let's just get into it. Come on, we got to. The odds are still in our advantage, boys. We can still do this. Let's get back out there and give it a run.
Well, they've got 20 minutes to start before the self-imposed deadline of 2:40 here San Francisco time. It's 2:20 right now. Usually they get 30 minutes, and that look on Dean Barker's face really says it all. He's just disgusted.
So, Gary, does this mean that we can actually have a chance of having another race today? We were talking earlier that we may not.
Gary Jobson working on possible interviews on board that committee boat. It looks like the Americans right now are staying put, taking on some nutrition, taking on water, doing minor repairs. They look like they are ready to go. Meanwhile, Emirates Team New Zealand would probably love to get back on the water and get another crack at it as we join now with skipper and helmsman Dean Barker. Dean, what is your thoughts on having his second race today?
Well, we'd like to get back into it, but with a time cut off, we can't. So, yeah, a bit frustrating.
Dean, give us your kind of rundown of the start. This has been a few in a row now. What's going on? Where's the issue? Where's the problem? How do you get at these guys?
Well, you know, we were reasonably happy with where we were on the line, and they just managed to, you know, get a bit of momentum right at the start. So, yeah, a little bit frustrating, you know, to not convert our port entry into a lead around Mark 1.
Do you think that code 0 being up in the air, the drag of that code 0 might have had something to do with the reaching speed?
Oh, for sure, it doesn't help, but I don't think that was the cause of the issue.
Dean, you now have the opportunity to go back and talk to your crew. What will be your message? Because you guys are still, remember, on match point.
Oh, yeah, look, you know, we're very upbeat here. You know, we know we can win. You know, the Oracle guys sailed a pretty flawless race that time, and there were no opportunities to get back into it. So we did a better job with the downwind, staying close, but it's not enough today.
Dean, thanks for your time. You're always gracious with it. Wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we will see you back on the water probably tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we hope so. Yeah, thank you.
Dean Barker, the skipper and helmsman for Emirates Team New Zealand, always good to give us a little time. And I know he was very disappointed after the end of that race. So the Americans look like they are heading back up to the start box. Meanwhile, in the distance, the Kiwis look like they are heading back to their dock. And we will get an official word here in a moment.
As usual, they can't agree even on where home is at this stage.
Absolutely. As we go on board the committee boat and get the official word, Gary Jobson standing by with the Regatta director, Ian Murray.
Ian, well, you try to get both teams to want a race. It sounded like Jimmy Spithill was ready to go. New Zealand didn't want to go?
No, look, we didn't even get to ask New Zealand. We couldn't sort out the rest of the arrangements on the bay, so, you know, we were stuck with the existing arrangements. So, unfortunately, the 240 limits kicked in, and that's mathematically impossible to get these slow races in today.
Well, you did a good job to get this race in. What are the prospects for tomorrow for the breeze?
Tomorrow is looking like a windier day, breeze increasing. So I am hopeful, you know, that we'll have good flood tide and a chance of, you know, 2 windy races tomorrow.
So with the flood tide, we have an upper wind limit that's a little bit more favorable for us.
Yeah, we should, you know, the flood's reasonably strong tomorrow, so we should have hopefully the wind won't get over the wind limit, but it's plenty of wind. You know, it's going to be 23, 24 knot wind limit tomorrow, so, you know, that's a lot of wind in these boats, and we'll try to, you know, get good races on.
All right, Todd, that's the story from Regardless, and we look forward to good racing tomorrow.
So it is official. There will be no more racing today in San Francisco. So day number 13 will come to a close prematurely with a score 8-6 with New Zealand. And for the folks at Oracle Team USA, Russell Coots, Larry Ellison, Jimmy Spithill and company, they will head back to their dock. But a happy short day for them, Ken.
Yeah, just incredible turn of events. You saw John Kostecki in there, wing designer Scott Ferguson. That's kind of a brain trust in that boat, and they got to be pretty pleased at what they see right now.
So day 13 has come to a conclusion. Oracle Team USA owns the one-race day here in San Francisco at the 34th America's Cup. Let's go back to the start. Here it was, and it looked like the Kiwis were in a great position.
Yeah, it really did, and this is just an acceleration, and all of a sudden you just see Oracle pop up on its foils quite a bit quicker and easier than Emirates Team New Zealand. We've seen that a lot lately, that they seem to have a little bit more forgiving foil package that's helping them out in this lighter breeze. And they rolled over the top, and they were flying to mark number 1.
The Americans take the lead at Mark 1, and as they make that rounding, the lead wasn't insurmountable. For the first time, though, since they've had the lead, Kenny, they decide to jibe first.
Yeah, they did, but this is really, I mean, this is the lead through the whole race. They're about 100 meters behind, and they were kind of 100 to 200 meters behind almost the entire race. They were glued to each other. That's what you take away if you're New Zealand. We were really not off the pace today. Coming down into the second gate, Emirates Team New Zealand had just simply, I think, jibes their code 0 better. Oracle decided not to jibe with them and go twice. Probably a good move, because they aren't quite as good on those jibes.
Second, guys, going.
Then coming around that bottom gate, Oracle chooses the side that they think is best, which is the side towards that tidal cone behind Alcatraz Island. Forces New Zealand out into the bay, but New Zealand gets the split, and here we go. Another nice tacking duel, right side, left side, zigzagging back and forth.
Mark number 3, and once again, the Americans throw in a last-minute tack, and it puts them, Kenny, in prime position.
See, they're still glued to each other, though. Really, Team New Zealand takes a lot of credit. They are not backing off. I think New Zealand looked pretty good today from a boat speed standpoint, to be honest. So they go home, say, guys, we're right in there. We just got to win a start. I think that code 0 being up in the air on that first leg made a really big difference.
On the 4th leg, and this is the penultimate leg, the Kiwis looking for the Americans to make mistakes, and Ken, that does not look like making mistakes.
No, they simply didn't. Their jibing has become smooth. Again, their ability to stay on the foils in the lighter breeze has become really, it's been a quality for these guys.
And at the line, Oracle Team USA will extend this regatta into day 14 as they get the win, bringing the score to 8-6.
For Oracle Team USA fans, I don't even know if the most diehard fans ever thought we'd get to this point, but here we are. We're getting closer by the minute.
And there is the beautiful San Francisco city front, the Golden Gate Bridge, the Bay Bridge in the distance. An absolute beautiful day. We were delayed by about 25 minutes because of light wind. It would have been perfect for water skiing and wakeboarding, but not for sailing. Well, stats of the day, beginning with race 16. We'll start on the upwind leg first, Kenny, and I always like to look at maximum speed, but you always say that's a bit of a show pony at 28.33 knots.
Yeah, exactly. Oracle actually went a little further distance, slightly faster. Folks, you look at these average speeds. Remember, we're going against the flood tide and we're going in light air. So these speeds are actually almost, 8 or 10 knots slower than we saw in the breezier days. But that's current corrected. These speeds are using GPSs and not paddle wheels like most of us have in our sailboats out there on a normal day. See the tacks even side to side. Hey, there's just not a whole lot in this. A couple hundred yards longer than Oracle, but it really not a whole lot in this.
As we take a look at virtual eye, here it is one more time, and the Americans, they're just not making mistakes.
And they didn't make mistakes, and that's exactly what Dean Barker said. 150-meter lead there. We're just going to see 150-meter leads all the way across. neither boat gave an inch here. It was really leg number one. It was getting around that first mark first that made the big difference. 150-meter lead, 150-meter lead. It's just, it's incredible how close these two boats are, how well they're sailed, that neither boat is making a mistake. Man, you better get a good start. That's all that says to me. And it's time that Dean Barker just digs it in and gets one, or this lead is slipping away pretty quickly.
So Barker had a massive lead, and now we sit on 8-6. We continue to bring you the numbers, this time overview of the downwind legs, and this is usually where the Americans really excel.
Yeah, but a little quicker and a little longer distance again. Again, just not much in it. If the distance and the speed is a little bit longer for one column versus the other column, it means it probably VMGs, or that velocity made good, out very similarly, and that's why you see the lead change hardly ever happen, and see the lead grow and shrink. I mean, just meters. And we're not talking hundreds of meters, we're talking meters here. Maximum speed, again, it almost always goes in Oracle's favor. I'm not exactly sure why that is. Identical number of jibes. Sure enough, pretty even boats all the way around the track.
Here's your virtual eye animation.
220 meters there, down to 150. You know, it just never extends or contracts here. Both boats are sailing so similarly, and that's what the coaches of New Zealand have to pound on their team tonight and say, guys, we are right in the hunt. We're fine. Let's figure out a way to get off the starting line, and we're gonna be fine. But yeah, when does that doubt start creeping in if you're in the afterguard of Emirates Team New Zealand? This lead is slipping away.
There's the scoreboard, 8-6 as far as points, win 8-8. But remember, America was docked 2 victories prior to the start of this, so they were digging in a -2 hole to begin things. Imagine how it was all even at 8, but it's not. 8-6. And tomorrow's another day for the Kiwis, looking for 1 victory. The Americans now just need 3.
I think somebody's looking to keep us in San Francisco for a long time to go. But like we've said many a times, I think sailing fans all the way around the world are just loving this. The drama, it's getting thicker by the minute, and it's great theater.
The 34th America's Cup will roll on. We will see a day 14 with race 17 tomorrow here in San Francisco.
I wouldn't say we're particularly close. I think we both come from different backgrounds. You know, he obviously comes from, I guess, more of a privileged background, and I come from a background where I had to fight and earn every single thing to get where I am today.
James is very aggressive in the way he approaches the races. You know, there's no holding back. You know, when there's an opportunity, he'll jump on it. So part of the plan for us is making sure we don't give him the opportunities to take advantage of it.
Dean and the guys he's got around him, been together for over a decade. It's hard to shortcut that sort of time spent together when you're in a team.
James and the race crew, you know, they've been together for a long period of time. You look across the fence and it's very hard to see terribly many weaknesses there. And I don't really think we're probably so much focused on that or the chink as such. It's more about doing everything that we can do as well as we can. So if we execute our plan and react well to what they throw at us, I think that gives us the best chance to be successful.
We've got a great team here. I mean, I think the best way to judge a team is how you react in tough moments. How do you face adversity? It's great when you're winning, but you know, what are the people around you going to do when you go through tough moments?
We know each other well. We've come up against each other a bit in the America's Cup World Series, and you know, there's sort of mixed results there between both teams. So,
for the past couple of years, we've been match racing in multi-holes. He hasn't beat us once when we've faced each other head to head.
Yeah, we know that they're very, very focused. They're a very strong team. You know, he's got a very strong group of guys around him, and so, yeah, there's no doubting that they will be, you know, formidable opponents.
For us, we're expecting a tough fight, you know, no 2 ways about it. These guys are a strong team. I've got a lot of respect for them, and but to be honest, we wouldn't expect anything less.
We're going to see 2 very strong teams. battling it out for the right to lift the America's Cup up and do what they want with it.
Day 13 of racing in San Francisco has come to a conclusion with just one race being contested, that being race number 16. It goes the way of the Americans, so the score now reading New Zealand 8 wins, needing just 1. USA 6 wins, needing just 3. Tomorrow's a new day. It'll be day number 14, and we are scheduled for races 17 and 18 if necessary. Remember, New Zealand 1 win away from claiming the 34th America's Cup. While we still have time, we want to bring you more racing action, and what a Sunday it was here in San Francisco. Day 12, race number 15, with the score 8-4. Emirates Team New Zealand squaring off with the defenders, Oracle Team USA. So at 2 minutes, it is game on for race number 15. New Zealand looking for one victory to take the cup, and the Americans looking to extend it into next week.
Thinking tack here, boys. 3, 2, 1. Got you 1 under now. Roll into attacking, boys.
Jimmy Spithill talking about attack again. Different tactics than what we've seen in the ebb tides. This is all of a sudden these guys are worried about getting too far down current. Just a quick little tack right in front of Emirates Team New Zealand right there. Very surprising flag.
So the Americans have filed a protest.
And they've switched sides. Very interesting play by both of them. Oracle kind of tacking right in front. Switch back over again.
Penalty is waved off.
Both boats very close to the line here. They're going to have to kill a lot of time.
Emirates Team New Zealand does not want to get overlapped here. They want to prevent from being overlapped. Can they get up to weather? Is Jimmy Spithill too close to this pin and lay line? Keep gapping if you're Team New Zealand at this stage. Try to keep distance between the two boats.
Chance of rolling him on this one.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to get to the line.
And this looks very similar to what we saw in race number 14, where the Americans try to push them high at the line.
Yeah, but this is different, though. This is way down by that yellow line. This is much further down the line. Emirates Team New Zealand could be in a better place to be a slingshot here in this start.
We've got a clear race on race number 15. The Americans trying to stay alive, and here comes the Kiwi acceleration.
The Kiwis did a little bit of a skid sideways there all of a sudden and put their hull in the water. Is that enough to allow Oracle to stay out in front? I think it's going to be. That little skid killed them there.
New Zealand was too late, 2 seconds late pulling the gun. Again, no practice starts before the race.
At mark number 1, it's the Americans that have the inside lane, but the lead is just a mere 3 seconds.
Boy, this is a broken record here right now, but tiny little mistake there or bad luck really did the Kiwis in. That's just a shame for those guys. Ray Davies is tired of this position, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you can go now, Simeon. Yep.
But you can't give up. You just got to keep fighting. Eventually, you'll find a way to get past.
Copy.
Well, that's what the entire nation of New Zealand is hoping for. 4.5 million people. And it is Monday in New Zealand. The folks down there are saying, let's wrap this thing up so we can get back to some effective work.
Well, as the boats race past our position here, it looks to me like Oracle Team USA is sailing a little faster.
So the Kiwis first to jibe, the Americans happy with their course. Ken, you like the strategy, or should they be covering?
Well, they'll cover here eventually, but it's just a matter of where you see the wind. If you're the boat ahead, remember, you get a better chance of actually jibing when you want and in the breeze that you like. So a lot of times we see the boat ahead extend because they're picking probably a more opportune time to tack and pressure.
Get it going here. Twisting. Get it going. Big trim, God.
Let's go back and look at the start one more time, and this is awfully close. Not only the collision, Ken, but a penalty, but the umpire said no penalty here.
Yeah, right now, Oracle, all Oracle is saying is, hey, we're on starboard tack. The other guy's on port tack. They got in our way. Well, you could also make a case that Oracle put themselves into that position a little bit too close. Oracle actually threw a flag on this. It's either head to win, and now they're on starboard. It probably was a close call by the umpires at that stage. I'm kind of surprised that Emirates Team New Zealand didn't protest. It was only Oracle that pushed their button on their flag, and the umpires decided in the back room with all the technology they had, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, I think it was a good call, green flag.
Here it is on virtual eye.
There's Oracle head to win and on starboard at the last second. Wow, huge, you know, about 2 meters between the two boats there as they went ripping by each other, but yeah, no foul.
So much that 10-second advantage to keep them safe harm's distance away from one another, and right now it's 400 meters. We've seen this play out before, and folks, don't turn off your TV just yet, because in the race prior to this, the Kiwis were down by 500 meters, and they came back to close it out. So here we go, leg number 2, the Americans with a sizable lead. They got the start they wanted. They led at mark number 1, and now they're starting to pull away. The question is, can Ray Davies and Emirates Team New Zealand find the sweet spot on this course and reel them back in?
The temptation is to go for a home run when you're the boat behind. But if you're Ray Davies, you got to just keep thinking, keep it close. There's enough opportunity on this race course. Don't swing for the fence now. Just try to keep it close. But they're not even foiling right there, Todd. It's light air again at this end of the race course. They're not even up on their foils.
Good saves there, boys. Really good.
Wow. What a, I mean.
How did that happen?
I know, I wasn't expecting that. Holy moly. Just a huge wind difference, hey, Gary?
Yeah, well, the big difference here is there's no current. So playing the wind actually is more important than last time. And it is very puffy out here. New Zealand's got to find strong wind and stay in it and make up distance. Not worry about match racing, just get closer.
3, 2, 1, driving.
Quick look there at Glenn Ashby, the 35-year-old Aussie on board the Emirates Team New Zealand boat as the wind trimmer. They're looking for anything right now. They are looking for an absolute miracle. They're looking for the fans on the shore to start waving the Kiwi flags to give them some kind of breeze that they can work with.
Yeah, this is good. Give it fast, Scott. Give it fast. Yeah, straight in.
Oracle Team USA absolutely blitzing leg number 2. As they make their way to the gate, they have all the time in the world to make this decision, but Jimmy Spithill will make it clean, and they will head towards Alcatraz yet again. And this will be an absolutely enormous number on the clock by the time the Kiwis get to gate 2.
Just real calm demeanor on this boat, and it's paying off. You would think they'd be terrified. I mean, they're one race away from losing the America's Cup, and not a single bit of tension on board the boat. Very impressive.
Just short of the ley lines, the Kiwis make this jibe, but they've still got about 100 meters before they get to the gate, and the clock keeps running.
Yeah, I like the fact that not one member of that crew aboard Oracle looked at the other boat as they passed. Good discipline.
It's going to be a fairly early check, unfortunately. That's a draw. Half down.
Copy. 4, 3, okay, happy now. 2, 1, here we go.
And it will be 1 minute even, the advantage for the Americans, as the Kiwis now head upwind, looking for Mother Nature to give them a hand.
20 seconds. Yep.
And the folks at AC Park enjoying the beautiful weather and enjoying this incredible racing. Well, I noticed a few All Black flags out there. They were not waving as enthusiastically as they were at the start of the day, and hopefully they can cheer their boys on. But right now they are in a deep hole of 410 meters, so they have cut into the lead just a bit. They were down by 1 minute at the turn at mark number 2, and the Kiwis excelled, remember, last time going upwind against the Americans.
They were down by 350 at this stage in the last race, so it's not too dissimilar at this stage. Sure seems like a bigger mountain to climb just from looking at it. But yeah, the numbers don't lie. They're at about where they were in the last race.
Gary, what does the course look like as it gets closer to the Golden Gate Bridge? Where's the best spot to position yourself?
Well, the left side of the course along the city front is going to be better. And one of the little differences just in the last 5 minutes or so, the wind is filled in, so you're not going to see those big holes that we found in the last race.
Now, that's probably bad news for Emirates Team New Zealand. They would like to see the Americans hit a few of those holes right now so they can close this gap. But it is 440 meters to the Americans, and that's what the Kiwis are looking at, trying to climb this mountain here in race number 15, needing only 1 victory to claim the America's Cup, and the Americans now need just 5.
11 knots of breeze, really light at the bottom end of the racetrack. Breezier, clearly, look at that, oh, barely getting through it. Really tough day on the bag here right now.
And Ken, like Sasquatch, no chance of seeing some upwind foiling today, is there?
You gotta let the Sasquatch thing go.
Pressure on the shore.
It didn't work the first time, but I'm not so sure it worked that either.
How big of a factor, Gary, is the cone in this race? You were talking about the wind filling in and a little less of a flood tide.
I like the way New Zealand's heading. You know, it looks like they almost put a smaller jib up, and it's just not working for them. The wind didn't fill as much as they anticipated.
Yep, go straight. Breeze line on our bow.
Leg 3 of 5, the second race of the day, and it is the Americans with a large lead of more than 400 meters.
All kinds of racetrack left here, though, and puffy, really tough, puffy conditions that make tacticians go crazy. But if you're behind, you want it to get as weird as possible, because that's your only chance of getting by at this stage.
And there's the game coming, as Gary Jobson pointed out, the left side of the course a little faster, and the Kiwis are on the accelerator, but they just cannot get it down to 300 meters. Now remember, they will still head downwind. The bad news is the Americans have looked so good downwind.
Nice little breeze right upwind of these guys, though. They're not.
Breeze all the way, eh?
Yeah, he's saying more breeze all the way in. That's a good sign for the guy who's behind, heading towards the city front.
45 seconds.
And the lead continues to come down. So just like in race number 14, the Kiwis not giving up. Closed it down to 250 meters.
They're just shifting into that ebb current, that outgoing current right along the city front before Oracle does right now. They will have a bit of an advantage until Oracle can get across that tide line.
And you know, Ken, initially when they made the change on board Oracle Team USA, replacing John Kostecki with Ben Ainsley, who's normally a helmsman or driver of the boat, and you had Tom Slingsby, who usually acts as a driver of the boat, I thought, well, this may not work out. This is like putting 3 quarterbacks on a football team and letting them all work together. But it seems like after the first couple races, they've all found their spot.
Well, they also made the boat go faster, too. Keep that in mind. You know, John Kostecki is a great tactician. He was in a tough spot. He was trying to work with a boat that clearly wasn't up to speed, especially upwind in those first few races. He kind of took the brunt of it. Well, these guys are doing a great job, but it's not a bad feature when you're the tactician and your boat starts going literally knots faster. It makes you look a bit smarter.
And they did make several changes, as Jimmy Spithill pointed out, several changes to the boat. So it wasn't just the replacement of John Kostecki that has turned this thing around.
No, absolutely not. In fact, you can make a case it's not that at all.
Pressure on me now. They set up. Yeah. Good pressure from now, guys. Twisting. Good pressure on the bow. Yeah. Good pop.
Todd, as usual, the Kiwis are not getting any further behind. You know, this beginning part of this leg is where they make some really good inroads every single time they're behind, so don't count them out by any means.
You know, Ken, you think that's a long distance, but these boats make up so much distance in a short period of time with one gust of wind. They go 2 to 3 times the speed of the wind that you can close it up easily.
So the Kiwis make the tack and they trail the Americans, but the lead is coming down now around 250 meters.
It keeps getting loaded up by someone. Every time they... Yeah, go for it now. Here, guys. But going to want an early jibe.
For sure that we will see an early jibe out of Oracle here just to stay with the other boat.
Probably early jibe. Copy, the pressure here.
So at gate number 3, the Americans maintain a lead. Remember, at gate number 2, it was 1 minute. The clock begins. How much will be their lead as they head to the finish line?
Off the shore also. Probably better than better hold it for now, yeah. Go. Good pressure on the bow. Going straight for a bit here. Nice job, Cole. Happy going straight, Jimmy. Nobby, best pressure here, too.
So the Americans around gate 3, happy with the pressure they're feeling on the right-hand side of the course as they head downwind. Meanwhile, Dean Barker and Emirates Team New Zealand make the turn, and the good news for the Kiwis is they have cut the lead almost in half. So now Dean Barker and Ray Davies and the brain trust of Emirates Team New Zealand, Ken Reed, they have to make something happen here. They have to find better pressure and better current.
The screws are getting tight on Emirates Team New Zealand right now. Every loss, you got to believe that the doubt might start creeping into the back of your mind. What was insurmountable, all of a sudden, there's a chance, you know?
Well, the start of this regatta, the majority of the folks around town in the know, which does not include me, thought that the Americans would win the Cup, and they would probably get 9 victories and maybe 4 or 5 for New Zealand. Close, but the Americans were the faster boat. As soon as the first couple days took place, it was apparent that the Kiwis just had a faster boat.
Well, that is the one thing that I think people around town were just stunned at, is how the Kiwis came out of the blocks more maneuverable and faster upwind than Oracle was. And not by a little bit, substantially. But then exactly the same approach. They didn't stop. Oracle said, okay, let's fix this. And they did. That's the inconceivable thing, how much they've improved.
45 seconds this way.
Gary, with a leg and a half to go, what do the Americans need to do to maintain this lead?
Very simple, Todd. Stay between the New Zealanders and the mark. They're looking really good. Tomorrow's going to be another day if they're able to hold on.
After a close call in the middle of leg number 4, the Americans make the right call. The Kiwis get stuffed with bad wind, and now it is the charge for home for Oracle Team USA, looking to keep this regatta going through the weekend and into tomorrow.
Now in, boys. Nice.
That is unbelievable, Ken. We were down to 110 meters, and the Kiwis look to be just coming fast. And then just like that, it is back up to 400 meters, and the clock running over 30 seconds.
Just astonishing, really, how quickly we've seen leads collapse and then get re-put back on together. It's just It is a stunning race course out here in what is supposed to be a very predictable place, San Francisco Bay.
Get a little bit larger to finish.
And if you're a fan of Oracle Team USA, that is a beautiful sight. Up on the foils, heading for home with a lead on top of Emirates Team New Zealand. So 2 races today go the way of the defenders of the America's Cup. Oracle Team USA will pick up point number 5, and it will now be 8-5 with the Americans needing just 4, the Kiwis just 1. The Sunday showdown belongs to Oracle.
Great day.
I've been with Oracle Team USA for about 12 months now. Got involved after the London 2012 Olympics. And my role within the team is helping the sailing team to develop, prepare for the America's Cup finals. I've had a few experiences before this with the America's Cup. The first time was with the One World Challenge back in 2003, which was another American team. And then with Emirates Team New Zealand for the 2007 Cup. We then started a British team for the 2010 America's Cup, but unfortunately that fell apart. This team is very different to the other teams I've been involved with. In a way, it's quite a corporate team because it's quite an old team now. So there is, I suppose in a way, there's that greater family that's built around the team being together for such a long period, but also it's a very big team. Driving one of these boats is probably the most intense experience I've ever had. So I sort of got chucked in at the deep end with very little practice and sort of was expected to get the boat around the course. And I had to watch a lot of what Jimmy was doing. He's done a great job developing the skills and his team. And then just getting in there and getting on with it. And it took a lot of focus. I've never concentrated so hard in my life, other than when I think I was learning to fly aeroplanes. And these AC-72s, which are, you know, not only are they massive, hugely powered monsters tearing around at ridiculous speeds, but we also have 11 guys on the boat, so it's much more about teamwork and learning the skills of this new design of boat. Definitely you can pass on these boats, and the start will be super critical.
Oracle Team USA first up on the foils and pulling forward just a little bit. Crucial part of this race right now, boat speed contest. Who can reach fastest to this mark?
You know, if you make a bad jibe, you can lose a couple of 100 meters in these boats. If one team makes that mistake, the other team will pounce and make a pass. So I'd expect to see some closer racing. So there are certain strategies you can use, and then when you see someone's got an advantage, then I would expect the other boat to really start getting stuck in. And I think if that's the case, that Oracle need to start being more aggressive.
So race number 17 postponed until Tuesday. That will take us to day 14 of the 34th America's Cup, with the score being New Zealand 8 needing 1 win, USA 6 needing 3 wins to retain the cup. And Ken, what a crazy day of weather and everything else.
The drama continues in San Francisco. You know, there's a couple things we didn't talk about today, Todd. One thing is, where's Grant Dalton? There's a rumor that he's injured, and you know, I know the guys on board the boat wouldn't say that Winston McFarland has anything to do with this, but you know what? They win when Grant Dalton's on board.
So we will see you Tuesday for race number 17. It will be day 14 of the 34th America's Cup. For Ken Reed and Gary Jobson, I'm Todd Harris. We'll see you tomorrow.